By far the most troubling character in this series was Korra herself. It's not what she did that bothered me so much as the narrative's refusal to actually pass judgment on her actions. It's like almost nothing she did had any emotional or thematic weight to it because, in the end, she never actually changes as a person, and everything just happens to work out for her anyway. I almost feel like Deco were trying so hard to make Korra look good that they forgot to make her a good character. She doesn't have a solid foundation in personality or attitude, and the result is that she never feels like a real person. Now contrast that with a character like Katara in the original series. She was basically a motherly and caring person, so this made it even more surprising when she was consumed by jealousy or anger or even revenge. But since we knew where these emotions came from, the fact that they could exist within her at all made her feel more real and complex. That's not the case with Korra. Even if Korra contradicts herself from episode to episode, she's not a complex or contradictory character because she has no character to contradict. A perfect example of this is the scene where Korra addresses the press in the first episode.
And the police?
Yes, I am definitely here to stay, but honestly, I don't exactly have a plan yet. See, I'm still in training, but...
Now, so far it works. We can see that Korra's not the best public speaker. Why would she be? And that she's nowhere near being secure in her position as savior of the world. It's a nice little throwaway moment that could have showcased her humanity and how much she had to learn. Then they ruin it!
Look, all I know is Avatar Aang meant for this city to be the center of peace and balance in the world.
No, stop! God damn it!
I look forward to serving you.
Okay, first of all, this is just horrible dialogue. Second of all, this sounds like something Tenzin would say, not this teenage girl with the social skills of Jake LaMotta. In fact, this scene probably would have worked if she f***ed up the first time and Tenzin had to recover for her. In all honesty, the best thing about Korra is her character design. I actually think it's pretty brilliant and original. Ethnic, muscular, female, you don't see that often. I also like the fact that we never actually see her bare legs. But really, that's just another problem with Korra. See, with her, she's all design, no character. When I look at the designs of the characters in Avatar, I immediately associate them with the characters' personalities because the writing actually gave them personality. But with Korra's design, all I think is,
Damn, look at them titties!
look, I got a dirty mind, okay? Sue me. Keep in mind that a lot of my dislike for Korra has to do with her character development, so I'll just go over that one more time really quickly. I mean, okay, there were flirtations with development, like when Korra had to learn not to be so confrontational and just go with the flow to learn airbending, and then she never did. Or when she has to let Mako go because, you know, you can't always get what you want, and then she got him anyway. Or how about this? Tenzin commends her for learning to be patient. And then in the very next episode, she wants to pick fights.
Let's go back up there and knock some heads. They'll never know what hit them. I hate this being patient stuff.
And then again, why should she change? Why should anyone call her out on her shitty behavior? Everything works out for her anyway. The script shapes it so that anytime she's acting like an immature jerk, it's somehow necessary to getting the plot moving. And as an audience member, I never know if I'm supposed to be rooting for this girl or if I'm supposed to be apprehensive. She has some good insights every now and then, but most of the time, she's either extremely stupid or a complete sociopath. Sometimes both. I'm serious, if this girl wasn't the hero of this story, we'd all be calling her a f***ing skank-ass, asshole, no good, dirty, rotten. But since she's the main protagonist, she's just flawed. You can't get mad at her for being human now, can you? No, I can't. I'm mad at her because she's a poorly written character. Just because a character is flawed doesn't automatically make them a good character. Now, a character who faces the consequences of those flaws and tries to grow from them, that's much closer to the essence of drama. So in that regard, The Legend of Korra has almost no drama whatsoever. With some exceptions, this girl rarely has to own up to her shortcomings. And let me just reiterate, from a storytelling standpoint, I wouldn't have any problem with Korra's apprehensive behavior if it was just acknowledged as such. Can you imagine the possibilities of a sociopathic avatar? Or even a bad avatar? I mean, goddamn, that's storytelling gold. But since Deco aren't willing to acknowledge Korra's behavior as either case, we just have to deal with her as the good guy. In the end, the worst thing to happen to Korra is that she loses her bending. And then she just gets it right back, almost immediately. I guess in the context of the actual story, it was like a day without her bending. But it feels immediate to us as an audience, and that's what matters. Which is ironic because we never genuinely feel her change as a character, even after this moment. So when Aang says,
"When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change,"
it just sounds like a load of Frighteningly enough, Korra's arc actually reminds me of the ending of the film A Clockwork Orange. You know, when Alex regains his free will, but it's heavily implied that he's learned nothing from his suffering, so he's just gonna be evil again. But once again, this is a satire. The Kubrick film had so many layers of irony flying above and below the action that you just knew this ending wasn't supposed to be triumphant for anyone. But with Korra, we're just flat out supposed to be happy that she got her bending back. No. Also, and honestly this is just a nitpick, but I really don't like Janet Varney as Korra. I mean, granted, she's a better actor than her dad, but she leaves a lot to be desired.
Oh, I can't bend. I can't bend. I can airbend? I can airbend!
Personally, I think they should have gotten Cree Summer to voice her instead. I'm not just saying this because Miss Summer is black, but because she projects a much stronger presence than Miss Varney is even capable of. I mean, she wouldn't have fixed the story problems, but hey, it would have made the character a lot more believable. Okay, now let's move on to the characters I actually like, or at the very least like the potential of. Not using that take. Oh, Tenzin, how this narrative let you down. You know, for the life of me, I will never understand how Tenzin got so shortchanged by the story. I mean, I still like him, but ugh. He starts off as Korra's mentor, but by the end of the show, you'd have thought that whatever she did learn, she did not learn it from him. I mean, don't get me wrong, we can see even in the beginning that maybe Tenzin's not the most qualified person to teach her. I mean, he's old enough to be like a wise old man archetype, but he's also young enough to not be very good at it. But hey, that dynamic could have been addressed in the actual show. Korra could have learned discipline and seriousness from Tenzin, and then maybe Tenzin could have learned looseness and intuition from Korra. It's perfect! But of course, that never happens. And part of the reason for that is because the show almost forgets that Korra is supposed to be learning airbending in the first place, specifically from Tenzin. So after that little plot strand disappears, there's really nothing left for Tenzin to do. I mean, he's the one that prompts Korra to meditate on her visions of Aang, but that's really it plot-wise. Sort of. Like many of the other characters in the show, Tenzin never really develops beyond his initial character traits. He starts off a rigid, diplomatic, but well-intended pushover, and he ends a rigid, diplomatic, and well-intended pushover. In fact, after Korra gets kidnapped by Tarlok, instead of actually going out and looking for her, we see Tenzin's making phone calls in his office about her whereabouts.
What are you? You should be in the hospital. And you three, you should be in prison.
I figured you could use our help finding Korra. Do you have any leads?
I've been on the phone all morning, but nothing yet.
Seriously? I mean, I know the guy's an airbender, and thus he's the last person to be like confrontational and take the law into his own hands, but seriously, dude, your surrogate daughter is missing. Get off the phones, grow a pair, and start looking for her. God! All that said, I still adore Tenzin. It's probably largely because he's voiced by J.K. Simmons. Now this is an actor who knows how to inject any character he plays with such appeal and warmth and humanity. I can just watch him anytime. Or listen to him in that case. And God's in the details anyway, and it's the little moments with Tenzin that make him so wonderful to watch. Speaking of wonderful little moments, I probably like Bolin a lot more than I should. And again, it's because of the voice actor, this time PJ Byrne. Now, I think this guy's a genuinely funny comic actor. He's been in a few bit parts in Horrible Bosses and Final Destination 5, among other things, and in every film I've seen him in, he's a delightful presence. He seriously makes every line Bolin says worthwhile.
Do you think your dad knows about this tunnel?
Unfortunately, it's Byrne's wonderful performance that reveals just how shallow Bolin's character is. See, he's only there for comic relief. As a personality, he starts off as a childish figure who lives in the shadow of his older brother. And by the end, he remains a childish figure who lives in the shadow. Are you seeing a pattern yet? I mean, I can understand. I mean, after he and Mako lost their parents, Mako's been the one protecting him all this time. And while that's touching, it also inadvertently stunted Bolin from making his own decisions and taking the initiative. I don't think the guy's incapable of growing up and being a man, it's just that the narrative doesn't allow him to. And even worse, when he does, it doesn't gratify him in the slightest. For example, during episode 5, he's the one that reciprocates Korra's feelings and actually takes her out on a date. How does Korra treat him for this? She's grateful, yeah, but she's just using this as an opportunity to get back at Mako. But then it gets worse. While Korra and Mako are busy nagging at each other because of the romance, Bolin is the one that actually steps up and secures their victory during a pro-bending match. Do they acknowledge this wonderful deed of his? No. In fact, this is the thanks he gets for his wonderful efforts. Poor guy. I can only imagine the emotions that are running through him right now. How's he gonna react to this? Deco, you guys are assholes. This guy just got his heart broken. For no reason, I might add. And you just treat it like a joke? It's intolerable. So, understandably, he gets distracted in the next pro-bending match, and he and his brother get knocked out of the ring. This is when Korra steps up to win the match for them.
It's the big kibosh! What a knockout!
Oh, okay, so when Bolin steps up to win the match for them, his reward is heartbreak. But when Korra wins the match for them, she gets thunderous applause and gratification. I think the worst part of all this is that Bolin's character doesn't even get to develop beyond episode 5. In fact, he actually devolves. He just becomes comic relief guy, meant to say funny things every once in a while, completely devoid of whatever humanity he once had. Thank God he's played by someone as funny as Byrne, because otherwise he would be annoying as all fuck. Okay, I'll admit, there is one extremely funny moment that comes from all this. Before Korra and Mako go off to ambush him on, Korra lends Bolin and the others Naga for safety.
If you're going into the mountains, you should bring Naga. Take good care of Bolin for me.
Just look at his face. That is the face that says, well, this is the closest to a kiss I'm ever gonna get from this girl. Poor guy. Actually, there's one more moment we should look at before leaving Bolin. And it's the moment after Korra tells everyone that she's lost her bending.
Got you too. Hey, at least you unlocked your airbending.
You know, that's a good point, Bolin. I mean, after all, learning airbending was the point of this book, so in a way, you're right. Thanks for being positive, dude. What? What do you say?
Bro, not the time.
Not the right time. Not the right time? There is time for shitty love confessions and disregards for personal space, and there's not the right time for positivity!
Quietly.
This. I'm out. This show's racist against nice people.